I'm going to make sure I could share the screen, right?
You should be able to.
Yep. Okay. Can everyone see my screen? Okay, great. All right. My name is Charlene Harris, and I am in the Human Development Department. And like everyone during the pandemic, I struggled a bit trying to keep students engaged. And one of the things that I found during that time, as I was looking at options for creating more engaging slides, shows for my classes, I found PowToon. And I found that it was really easy to work with. So I'll spend some time today just going over some of the things I actually used for my classes, some of the animations I created. I will tell you it's very time consuming. It's really one of those things that you have to put a lot of time into making sure running the slides and making sure they work the way you really, really want them to. So looking at first, this is just a quick view of how the interface actually operates. This is my account. I have an EDU account. If any of you are interested, I'll just give you a quick rundown of how you could actually look at maybe getting this as an option through your department or on your own. So they do have pricing plans. I was fortunate, I think, when the COVID-19 pandemic started and some of these developers were looking for, I guess, for faculty to get engaged in some of their websites. They actually had like a free plan for faculty at that time. So I believe I used up my 12 months and now I actually have to go in and purchase it. So looking at I would suggest getting the Edu plan because that's the one that worked the best. You have a lot of options, and I'm just trying to see if I could find it here. Oh, here it is, the educational plans. And here you could you see the billing monthly or annually. So here's the pricing, here's the teacher option. So that's one of the things I just want to make sure if anybody's interested. And if you want to contact me later on. I'm no way connected with the developers. I actually just kind of got this on my own. So looking at my, just looking at the interface, I'll show you a little bit of, I just have to move this out of the way, show you a little bit of some of the things I worked on and how you could actually go about creating your own animation. So here's my brief intro. Actually, I do find while working in PowToon, my computer processor tends to really spend a lot of time. You get all the crunch and the noise. So I do think that it does pull a lot of the memory from your computer while you're working on it. So I'm just going to give an overview of what you can do in PowToon when it comes to animations. And yeah, you see it takes a while to load, but you do have to have patience, I think, working with PowToon because of how much data it actually processes. So once we get started here, you'll get a quick overview of some of the cool things you can actually do in PowToon. Yeah, one of the things is there is audio attached to pre-existing slides that actually come with the program. So here we're going to get started. Here's a look at turning slides into animated videos in PowToon. I went ahead and set up some of this early on. So this is what we'll go through today. We'll navigate the interface. We look at the animations. I'll show you how to publish your presentations, and I'll take any questions you have. So looking at navigating how we start in PowToon, one of the things that it allows you to do is actually you can create PowToon from a ready-made presentation with existing templates. And I'll just give you a quick view of how you could actually go in and do that. So here's the existing templates. You actually would just need, I guess, an idea of what you're interested in looking for. You could actually just scroll through all their templates or do a quick search on your own. So they do have some featured templates with different categories that actually are attractive depending on the type of work you may be doing. I don't know why my email is opening up. Sorry. Something happened here. Oh, here we go. So here's a quick look at some of the pre-existing templates. And working with the pre-existing templates, it's sometimes convenient, and sometimes it could also be inconvenient. As you can see, it's already timed, it's already set. So depending on your presentation, you may have to go in and make some edits along the way with the timing. But they do have a lot of options, as you can see. Some of you have probably seen them on YouTube videos, which allows you to go in, edit. You could also do personal slides. Here's the EDU option. They have some pre-existing options here, which are just as attractive as the other slides. In these templates, here's one with the syllabus that sometimes, thinking of if you're working with online students, having first day of class, you may want to be more engaging. You could, after class, you could actually set this up where you go through the syllabus with your students and some of the reminders you want them to have. It's really, really one of those tools that I think I got a lot of positive feedback from students when I used it. I did recognize that it worked well for some concepts when it comes to teaching more than others. Another option, if you're working in PowToon, you can actually create your own PowToon from scratch without a template. Of course, this is where the time comes in, extra time for setting it up. Going into this in the creation mode, I would say definitely for me, it helped to supplement some of the readings from some of my classes. It also helped for me to also have a set of like a story that I want to tell. So these are the options. They allow you to use different characters. I find that the software itself is very inclusive. They do have a diverse array of options when it comes to having avatars, and you could also use your own photos on there. And this is just a quick run through of the menu that actually exists in the interface for the create option. Here, I'll just do a quick demo of how you would go about creating your own presentation, looking at background, depending on the context, classroom. That's a great option. When it comes to choosing your avatars or your characters, you do have a wide range of options. They do have they even have characters within the workplace. So you would find construction workers, doctors, etc. And like I said, there's also the option where you could upload your own photo on there. So here's just one character that I chose. You could actually change the position of the disposition rather of the characters. And you can create any sense of emotion or feeling depending on the context again. And of course it really works. It's really, I would say, even child friendly for if you want to consider it as if you're kind of afraid of technology. I would say this is something, if you're into graphics, etc. It's really easy to use. You could also swap out the characters. So even after you've created your presentation, you could go about swapping out characters within the interface itself. And again, like I say, it's very, very inclusive. So you have a wide array of options when it comes to choosing characters. And here I'm just going to add some text. And this is just a welcome slide. So let's say animation 101 to get started. And below there, you could see the timing, etc. that you could work in. and here's there's a third option, and PowToon keeps evolving. So this was a recent addition where you could create PowToon from an existing PowerPoint. I would say this option, it still needs a lot of work, but in order to, I guess, be as flexible as possible, this is one of the things the creators recently introduced. So I just did a quick demonstration of how this works. Some of you may use textbook materials that come with existing PowerPoints, etc. So you may want to actually, so here I had one created already, where you actually have the PowerPoint information uploaded into PowToon. You already imported it, and then it uploads and it allows you to edit directly onto the platform to the PowerPoint. I would say that it's kind of iffy I found it to be a little iffy because of all of depending on the PowerPoint, if there's a lot of information on there. I think it also even only allows you to upload I think 100 megabytes. So if the PowerPoints are extensively long, as you can see, this PowerPoint does require a lot of editing after uploading onto the PowToon interface. So here's the PowerPoint as it uploads. As you can see, there's a lot of processing going on. I found that, yeah, this one requires a bit more work. If it's something you're interested in, though, it's worth trying out, but it does require you to still put in a lot of work in creating a PowerPoint that's usable. So here we're gonna go into how to create the animation. One of the things that I found, like I said earlier, is that you do want to have a sense of a story that you want to tell. So it's kind of like working like a storyboard. You want to have a set of, or if it's a topic you're covering, given the audience, your students. And I find a lot of text may not be something that is helpful. So you may want to use a lot of characters, etc. So here we go. I'll give a quick demo of creating an animation from scratch. So here I chose the theme that I want to use. And I went into the introduction section of that theme. They do have preset ones that you could edit in really, really easily. I said from scratch, but this does have some preset animations in there. And you could start, here's a blank slide. And from there, you could go into the backgrounds, concepts, depending on what you're actually trying to create. And here's just a quick demo of what we're going to do today. Essentially, this is where I talk about creating animation. So you do want to have a plan. You do want to work on creating your storyline to make sure that your audience is, aware of if it's information they need to have maybe beforehand, if it's through reading for one of your classes through your textbooks, etc. I found that having this as a supplemental reading is a perfect tool. I would say maybe making them around 20 minutes, making the PowToons about 20 minutes is actually helpful, especially when you're just covering some small content from the textbook, or having multiple PowToons within, for students to access with certain topics that you may cover. I found that to also be something that I found to be helpful, especially with my courses. So think of the story you want to tell, and here you just keep going. And this is really, I think one of the things that I do like is the options. So like, as you can see, there are many different characters here. And I just, I can swap out the character that comes up for another one. I could actually go back into the theme and choose another character. Okay. I am going to come out of here for 1 second. Okay. One of the things that I do want to also highlight with the animation is the options that you do get for creating, like adding audio, etc. PowToon allows you to do that through, if any of you worked in any screencast software program, you can also edit the audio. So here it's, you could do a voiceover, or if you have existing audio, because this one actually is I think a preset file. But let me see. One of the things that I did work ahead of time is actually here, I do have a demo of, let me make sure, yeah. Here is a quick demo of one of the presentations for one of the supplemental presentations I did for one of my courses on the family. And let me just show you in present mode what it looks like. Oops. Hold on. Let's see if it come out of there again. Do you all have any questions as I go along? I feel as if I'm just moving swiftly along. You have any questions for me?
You're doing great.
Okay, all right. I'm just going to skip forward because it's not allowing me to start where I want to. Had I done movie mode, I guess it would have just kept playing. So let's see. Yeah, it does give the bug report a lot. So, okay, here we go. So here's quick animation. I think I have the sound muted. Let's see. I didn't put audio in this, or like I didn't do a voiceover, sorry. I could get the volume. Let's see. Just to be real quick. Okay, so I'm gonna just pause here. So you've got a quick run through of what actually an animation kind of looks like when it's complete. As you can see, timing is a big issue. So one of the things that it could go really quickly, and I had sped this up just for the presentation, but it really goes quickly. I found that when I used this as a supplement for the reading material, students seem to really appreciate that part, especially since they're not getting the audio. They were actually more likely to look at the screen and actually read the words as they were coming out. And I actually emphasized certain things in context for them. So that helped a lot of them with my Intro to Family course. And here's where I'm just going to give a quick run through of how to publish in PowToon, depending on the account that you have through their program. You actually have a few options for publishing, and they've even widened it a bit more. So here's a quick look at some of the options for publishing in PowToon. So here's the slide that I created, the slides I created earlier in animation. So if you have to add additional time, etc., those are the controls at the bottom of the slides. And once you're satisfied with how your presentation runs, etc., based on the timing, by slide, once you have that sorted out, and you have a good idea, okay, this is exactly what you want your PowToon to actually look like when it's complete. You can actually go there to the export. You save the file, and of course, then you go to the export option. And when you look at the export options, these are the options they allow you to you could actually post to YouTube. You could actually download the actual presentation in the PowerPoint form and preserves the characters just as they are. However, you don't get the animated piece. You don't get the actual moving characters. You get it flat characters. So, but that's an option if you want to create PowerPoints on there. You could also, if you don't want to do the animation, you could just create PowerPoints out of the characters that's on there. And for for a lot of people, if you're looking for alternatives to PowerPoint, PowerToon, the PowerPoint cartoon option is one that's really, I think really great. So this is the publishing, and you have many different ways. I usually use the MP4 version because Blackboard allows you to actually view them on there once you upload them, so students don't have to download, they don't have to worry about going to another website to look at any of my lectures. So I found that to be very, very helpful. So I'm going to pause here again. Do you all have any questions? Anything you want me to go back to?
Can you show again how to change the timing on a particular slide?
Oh, yeah. So if you look at so these are the preset ones, but I'll just use one of these. So this animation here, I believe for the teacher account, you have up to 20 minutes per slide. So it does tell you if you're going over the limit. So for each slide here, each animation, there's a timer. So you could actually, group them if you wanted to, like this. And in grouping them, you do get more time. And it would just mean that once the transition happens, they all come in together. And I will just show you. Yeah, so If you wanted to run this, you would see the difference is that everything will just run together. Let's see if it, so there we go. Goes faster. And then adding more time, there's a plus, add 1 second. Okay, so each slide duration is 8 seconds. There you go. And then let's see. If you wanted to decrease time, there you go. And you would just decrease.
Does
So
each slide have to go the exact same number of seconds, or can you change the number of seconds per slide?
the additional plan options would give you more time. So
Gotcha.
one way I did get around that was using the screencast tool. If you screencast through Google or Screencast-O-Matic, so I would actually have the PowerPoint, this run, and I would do audio. So I did that recently because I started using this last summer. So some of these, a lot of things have changed. But what I found was when I was able to use the screencast, I could stay longer on the slide and add audio if I needed to.
Good idea. I love Screencast-O-Matic.
Yeah, and I'll just show you, let's see. Let me just go back to the home screen, the quick menu. Any other questions? I just go back to the workspace. I don't know if you're hearing my computer, but the drive is going crazy with all of this going on. Let's see. So all of your files are actually saved here to my PowToons. And let's see. We just added folders, so I started organizing them. They didn't have folders before, but here I created some folders, but these are some of the actual presentations that I worked on over the course of the year, starting, 2020. What I also found, so once you export the file, you do have the option of also saving the file as is on your computer. And if it's exported on your computer, of course, it makes it easy to upload in Blackboard. If you're worried about memory, you could export to Google Drive, etc. But this does help you a lot, like as far as just keeping organized through their online service. Let me see. I'm trying to remember if there was. I don't want to go back to, let's see. There's something else that I missed. I showed you the timing and the audio. Let's see, the editing. And you could always go back and edit your actual presentations even after, because of course, when you export it in its current form, but you could always go back and edit and, and check the timing. One of the things that I do for the timing part, if you wanted to, so if you wanted to work on like the presentation for a lengthier time, because the time limit for this entire presentation is 1833. They only allow 20 minutes. So if you wanted, that's why it would kind of benefit you to have multiple slides throughout, so that you could actually just put them, if I like uploading them in Blackboard, you just have different themes or different headings for each one, if that helps. Any other questions? There's one more thing that I can show you. Since somebody mentioned it, like screencast, some of you probably done screencasting. You do have the capture your screen and camera option. So, and it's actually one of the things that is also essential. If you're using PowToon, it actually works better in Chrome. So you definitely want to have Chrome on your computer. And you could use the screen and the camera, screen only, camera only for recording options. So it does allow you to screen record, which is really good if you're, trying to demonstrate certain, especially if you're teaching certain classes that you definitely want to give step-by-step information on. I started one for the live for just giving students access, helping students understand remote access to the library was a problem. So with the transition. So one of the things I started working on, and I realized I didn't complete it when I found it, it was actually a quick presentation for remote library access here this last summer. And it's incomplete, but, or it's actually said needs work. But I'll just give you a quick view of what that looks like. And I also incorporated screenshots in there. So yeah, so this was a screenshot I put in there. Just take a screenshot and upload it, and then, you know, kind of give them a quick overview of how to access the database. So I found it useful for a lot of things. PowToon useful for a lot of things like this. It does take a lot of planning, it definitely does. But yeah, this is what just to show students how to get into EBSCO, and I realized I could improve on it now. Any other questions? No questions? Okay, I don't have everybody's face in view, so let me see. That's all I have for today.
Thank you, Charlene. I've seen PowToons and always been too chicken to try them. So maybe you've motivated me to give it a whirl.
Yeah, you may not use it every week, but you might find a couple things that you could use it for, you know. I found it really helpful with my intro to family class with some of those concepts. As you can see, a lot of them are here on the family. I did use it in some of my research courses. Of course, it does require more time putting that together. Let's see, I have a short one. I mean, I made a video for students, our graduates in our department. I really think that it's really one of those things that if you look at the templates options, you do have a lot of options if you're doing anything in, you know, for work. Let's see. How to get from this? But there we go. So when you look at the template options and you look at office options, they do have, you know, a lot of preset ones, and they just come with a couple slides that you would of course have to edit. And I know there are other software options out there, but I'm just not familiar with them and how they work, but I'm sure they work the same. They may just have some options that might be, you know, as far as the timing and different things that might be more attractive rather than PowToon. But here are the preset slides that it comes with. One thing that you might see in a lot of PowToon is the transition piece, which I didn't go into. I can definitely show you what that is like. This is where the transition actually takes place, where you see these arrows. So you see they have a lot of options. You've probably been in, you've seen programs use them when you see the hands. They have the roller, the TV noise. So all of these options here. So once you create your slide, and you could just go in afterwards and add the transitions. And it really works well if you could actually use one of the preset options where you don't have to put in as much work, because this would already have its transition, its own transition. And you would just, you know, change the text, etc. And you could, you know, get started. And as you can see, it takes a while to warm up. And once that's started, and you see, you know, the presentation. Here's the audio. So as you can see, you could do the slideshow option, and students can choose the options to view, I believe. If you're using PowToon directly, if you post the PowToon directly and you have students actually access your slides via the link, they could actually choose to go slide by slide, or they could do the movie option here, which would just, of course, let it just run through. And this presentation was a minute, just a little over a minute. So that's one of the good things with the preset ones. It kind of gives you an idea of, timing. Everything is preset. So if you have a 5-minute presentation, etc. Any other questions or thoughts? And when I explain the export option, they do have more options. Facebook, if some of you are using Facebook, Twitter, Facebook group, PDF. So they do have a lot of options for exporting and sharing. If you just want to share the link, and you could choose to publish these slides through, of course, publicly or through PowToon. Like when I demonstrated that earlier, let me just go back here. Yeah, so by choosing a category, you could actually choose whether you want to have it listed in one of their pre-existing categories. And of course, privacy, public or unlisted. I believe you have the same options if you're in YouTube for publishing videos. So if you want to protect your intellectual property a bit more, and here's where you would, of course, edit the title, etc. And going on from here, another thing, depending on the package you have, the service you would actually have, to upgrade for if you don't want to have to one of the premium plans, if you don't want to have the watermarks or their logo just all over your presentations. And they do give you, really high quality viewing content. So. Anyone else?
Okay, well, thank you. That was really good.
Okay, great.
Thanks, Charlene.
Thank you.
Hi, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming.
Thanks, Charlene.
Thank you.
I'll stop the recording.